So, congratulations on the book and especially on your journey. It has been, exciting for you as much as for us who have been watching your story, grow over the years. So, how does it feel to have, transformed from an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, and now an author? And what is this love for books?
It's a fabulous, first and foremost, Sharmila, it's a blessing to be able to write uh, because, we all have so many experiences, and the best way to express them is writing. And now, of course, hearing what has been written. Uh, I think to answer your question, it's a parallel track. The entrepreneurship is about accumulating stories. Most people have great lives, and professionals have a very structured life that gets better and better. Entrepreneurs have a topsy-turvy life, and when you have a topsy-turvy life, you have many more stories to tell. uh, on the book reading part, I think I read many years ago that the best way to become wise is to read. Warren Buffett says read 500 pages a week. And I must share a confession. I am a BCom graduate.
Okay.
So, I come from the classical business family, jaldi se business. And for years, I used to feel that I don't know enough. So there was this hunger to learn, and I learned everything through reading. And that is what the habit became. But I'll end with a little plug-in for my school, Campion School in South Bombay, Kolaba. Sharmila, the way that school has influenced me. So essay writing and elocution was a very important part of that curriculum. And for me, writing became a part of that very early growing up stage. So then it kind of blossomed into full-blown writing.
So, I was reading about your, you know, opinion on starting up and being an entrepreneur. What I feel is that you enjoy the creation part of it,
Yes.
uh, creating a business,
Yes.
that excites you. So, from the time that you started out as an entrepreneur and before, starting out became such a cool word, how do you think things have changed for India? I mean, you know,
It's it's amazing again. Starting up is so cool now. There's a joke we used to crack very early on when we used to observe people, that falling in love was not really important as falling in love, but to tell people I'm in love. It's like a fashionable thing to be. I think now it's the same fashion to start up. Uh, I think the why has changed. Sharmila, I'm obsessed by this word why, and I share that in the first part of my book. The earlier why was absolute hunger. The pre 90s and the early 2000s was I got to do something. For me, it was breaking out of my misery of being in a socks company and thinking I'll make socks all my life. The why now has become very contemporary. I want to be cool. I want to be something that the other guys are not. Uh, Having said that, that's where the whys then become the whats are very deep. People today don't think of startups as something that they will do for the rest of their life or a commitment. I've met
right.
people who say, Sir, I have two startups, I have three startups. And like, I can't even run one startup, right? So it's so hard. Uh, I think the last part is the icons that have been created in the last 10 years. They're very public, they're very, very visible. The Elon Musk to the Zuckerbergs, and everybody wants to be like them. And I think that's the most positive spin of this whole cultural shift. I mean, Sharmila, you're a very old student of the times, and of how things happen. So the flower power hippie movement that began, I think now we're in the age of entrepreneurship. So I think that's a much bigger blessing. And yeah, I think in India today, if you see the kind of startups that have flourished, it's an amazing testament to how this culture has become real.
Yeah. Uh, Despite, what we see is that despite a low success um, rate of startups in India, some of them are doing pretty well. We have got like 114 unicorns.
Yes.
So, what do you think about the landscape now, and where is it? And
I
so
think,
many exits, and people
yes,
are just they're it's mature. Do you think the startup landscape now in India?
it's actually just begun. The India has always been a consumption country, right? But 1.3 billion people and 80% or 70% under the age of 30, you will get consumption. Now the time has come where people are consuming digital
Mm.
along with physical, right? So I think I don't want to give you an economic summary here, but what's happened is that a lot of the use cases, as we call them in technology, the real usage of startup value has come. For example, food delivery, cab delivery, and so on and so forth, which in the earlier years was not really present. So we had to invent things. I started a company called contest2win.com just to invent the idea of doing promotions online. They never existed. But I was so excited
Mm.
about the internet that I had to invent an idea. Now you don't have to invent the internet, or you don't have to bother. Ideas are aplenty. So I'll explain it in a much better way. Problems that are real world today have become great businesses because the internet is ubiquitous. Earlier, it was a privileged medium for a few households.
Mhm.
Now everyone has a phone. So that's the reason of this great boom and thriving economy. And I think as you see, Sharmila, in the next 20 years, we'll probably be the most vibrant internet market in the world in terms of usage and businesses.
Done. Yeah.
So I just feel like the Bombay Stock Exchange today is the definition of 30 top blue chip companies. It's such a age-old but pristine way of looking at value in the country. I think the Indian 100 internet and then the Indian 500 internet will become the next indice that we'll be watching very carefully.
Yes. Alok, you have also been one of the first people in India to have had faith in India's digital economy.
Yes,
And that's where your companies have also taken shape. Games to Win has also cracked so popular on people because of you understand screen time share and where people are spending time. So you've
sure.
got the nerve of the digital consumer. So, do you think that even in that landscape, things have matured now? What people are choosing to do, which screen people want to spend their time
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, I think it's a very pertinent question, Sharmila, and we have in India, especially entrepreneurs like myself and the future and the current entrepreneurs, we have one big problem, and that problem is the global competition. So honestly, if you ask me what's your biggest competitor or who's your biggest fear, it's not a gaming company, it's Instagram. So if you ask television today, and this is a fact in every television boardroom in the country, who's your biggest problem? It's YouTube. It's not another TV channel. So preferences have obviously shifted. Now the challenge is, how do I get share of that preference? And therefore, and therein lies the problem of or opportunity of localization. So if I can do stuff that is relevant to me and yet is within the new pattern that I'm consuming, there is a great chance of success. Which is why I think a lot of the Jugadu, startups that have this little Indianness to what they do is really where it's successful. And I think, like all great times, things evolve. But if an entrepreneur's got his nose on the ground, he will always pick up the smell of the fresh rain. And
Mhm.
I'm praying for rain, Sharmila. So I'm smelling the rain before it happens.
Yeah, it's yeah, this NCR is absolutely it's so hot.
Please, I know.
Huh? So, Alok, this is a third book. This
Yes, it is
yeah.
the
So
my third book.
tell us a little about the book because the name is very catchy.
Yes. So the name is, I just have a small cover. So it's called Getting Dressed and Parking Cars. And I actually wore the
Yes.
same t-shirt.
Mhm.
It's the story of Games to Win, my fourth venture. And
Mhm.
Games to Win's essential business is three business lines: driving cars, parking and driving cars, dress up games, and story games.
Mhm.
And the car and parking and the dress up games came because I grew up playing with those small dinky toys, and
Mhm.
my two daughters played with dolls. And one incident is mentioned in the book is when we were doing our spring cleaning or house cleaning. Everyone had grown up, right? You know, my wife assumes I've grown up, but I haven't. So she said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of all the dolls in the cars." And I said, "No way, man! You can't touch my cars, right? These are mine." And that's when I had an epiphany that if I can be so attached to small cars, even though I'm a grown-up man, I mean,
Hmm.
even driving those cars with my hand on my table was so much fun. Why can't I make that a mobile experience? The same
Right.
ideology was the dress up games with dolls. So, like, instead of real dolls, virtual dolls. And to cut like to the chase, Sharmila, I looked up Mattel, the company, the toy company, and I was so shocked to see in 2007 they had a 27,000 crore turnover back in 2007, still selling Barbie and Hot Wheel cars.
Yeah.
And that's 2007. It's not 1998. So we had already had the first wave of the internet. And I told myself, I said, man, this business is going to move to mobile. And that's what I
Hmm.
want to be a part of. And that's why, the parking cars, getting dressed in parking cars, because it's essentially the story of these games that I built.
Yeah. So, you think that because I think the book is also available online, so you expect people to read it or listen to it?
Oh, so now we are in the real realm of, the discussion. So reading has always been a long format. It's a studious exercise. Hearing things, and that's where Audible really comes in and makes an amazing experience of the written word, is now the new standard. I would be even bold enough to say the new standard. Whomever I talk to, Sharmila, it may be CXOs, CEOs, they're listening more than reading. And that's mainly because of the way our lives are. We travel so much, we're always in different vehicles and modes of transport. You can't keep a book with you all the time. But with simple ear, you plug something in your ear and you're hearing things. Also, a lot of people love to multitask. So, while I'm
Mm.
even eating or while I'm even not doing anything studious, I'm hearing and I'm exercising. I'm hearing and I'm, traveling, which is a phenomenal invention of Audible and the format that it represents. So I think this is the way now people have been consuming. And you won't believe it, when the book came out, the first 10 questions I got were, when is the Audible version coming?
Really?
Yeah, there's always been this desire to say, Alok ji, Alok, I can't read, yeah, make an Audible.
Yeah, that's a standard line that coming from people. I don't have time to read.
I don't have time to read. So they're so
Yeah.
upfront. So I was so happy, at least they're going to read or hear my book. I'll, and lo and behold, I've had the great fortune of partnering with Audible and getting this book out. So I think it's a no-brainer. And I would segue into saying the most serious of magazines in the world to the most popular books all have Audible versions. So it's no longer something novel. It's something that is quite mandatory.
But despite the misgiving of the world that people will stop reading books altogether, the publishing industry, in fact, is doing pretty well. And books are being written, people are consuming. There is a hunger for knowledge. Do you
Yes.
think, apart from entertainment, which is your space, of course, on the internet, do you think knowledge is also going to dominate the space?
Oh, oh, absolutely. So what's happened is it's a very nice question actually. What's happened, Sharmila, is there's a great democratization of knowledge. You don't need to be at Harvard or Wharton to know how to run a company anymore. You don't have to be some rich, you know, son to go to a great university. So the way owners of knowledge are distributing that knowledge is phenomenal. I mean, if you look at Berkshire Hathaway's conference, it is a it is 10 Howards and Whartons packed together in that 4 hours.
Mhm.
Similarly, some of our Indian entrepreneurs and the way they are dispensing their knowledge. So I the key operating word is the snackable part of knowledge. Knowledge, when you over the reason classrooms and universities and schools were so onerous was because it was an 8-hour session. And the human
Right.
brain has not been wired to be concentrating for 8 hours. The human's attention span is peaks at 20 minutes. So
Right.
formats like Audible are wonderful because you can hear, listen, switch off, switch on. And knowledge, therefore, has become very, very easy to snack on. And I'll be honest with you, I think everything has an age and time. Entertainment has also got compartmentalized. So people would rather watch their entertainment in the evenings or whenever, but that knowledge snacking has become almost permanently on.
Right. So you have the knowledge. Now it's up to you what to do with it
Right.
because it is available and doesn't charge you a premium.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's the most innocuous things to the deepest things, how to sleep better. I mean, if you hear something or read something, or if you snack on it, it might just change your life. So I think everyone has got used to this treadmill of saying, कुछ सुनते हैं, कुछ पढ़ते
Yeah.
हैं, और कुछ देखते हैं. It's a
Yes.
combination of three.
Yes. So, gaming is such a hot topic right now, and it's also been mired with controversies because of the
Yeah.
taxation bit. And apart from all that, what and gaming itself is becoming so sophisticated because of so many gadgets available, this and that. So, what is the future of gaming in India, you think?
It's see honestly, Sharmila, if one looks back, and this is what learning and reading helps. If you just look back in history, the
Mm,
Olympics is a game. Okay,
mm,
the greatest talk shows were games, or game shows were games. I think in India, the consumer is so young, which is where I keep gravitating to. Unlike Europe, where everybody is worrying about how to pay them pension, and in India,
mm.
everyone's worrying how do I get that 18-year-old to do my stuff. Uh, I the disparity in having, there used to be an earlier problem. मेरे पास, I don't have color TV, I don't have a console. All that has been obliterated by this simple little mobile phone. So
Right.
consumption has become very, very democratic, like the product itself. And I think when you throw a billion people into a country with, demographics like we have, there is no dearth of what people will use. Now the question is actually finding a segment that you think makes sense for you to be able to generate content, and then to honestly be able to even make money, which is on the challenge in India. So I think consumption is not the challenge in India, but it's monetization that is really the problem.
Mhm. And how much, I'm just asking you to understand this, how much of their, you know, of the spending pie is being spent on games by, say, the age group of 18, 16 to 25? How much of
It's
do we spend?
it's marginal. It's not even part of their wallet share, because for all for all kinds of things you have to pay, but games have been free and will be free. So I'll take a minute to kind of talk about that. The reason gaming has boomed is because on mobile phones you don't have to pay to play. You can play, and you can pay as you play. So there's a very big barrier that has been
Mhm.
broken. You can't watch any of the programs on television without having to pay first.
Mhm.
And nobody likes to pay for anything until they're sure. So, because games are ad supported, and ads in India are thriving because we have so many things that people want to market, I don't need to get money from consumers as much as I need to make sure that my advertising pipeline is in place.
Yeah.
And it's the same with other mediums, right? The televisions and subscriptions. I mean, subscriptions is a cherry on the cake, but the advertising is what fuels the P&L. So it's a very nascent market. And I'll just conclude by saying that all the TV spots which have anyway been made forever are now migrating to a mobile spot. So it's very easy for advertisers to trail or to not have to create new content for advertising. It's that one TV spot that goes across, which is why it's very
Yeah.
friendly for the consumer because they're not paying.
Yeah. And do you think that gaming also has an impact on alertness? Because I think it's for some people it helps them to stay alert. It's stimulating.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, forget the science research and everything else that supports that gaming for old age people for so in age-old homes, gaming consoles and gaming exercises have become de rigueur now because it fires up your brain. I mean, let me just explain. If you try playing Candy Crush level 350, your
Mhm.
brains will get fried before you can complete the level. It's so
Yeah,
simple, but it is so complicated.
yeah.
So there's a very beautiful keyword that I learned very early in my journey, which I've used prolifically in my book, simple to play, but impossible to master. So it looks very simple, but it's impossible to master. Unlike say a product like chess, where you can't say it's simple to play.
No,
Ludo is Ludo is simple to play, but there's nothing to master. It's chance.
it's chance.
So gaming has that beautiful combination, and it's beyond that, Sharmin. I'll just share a story of our dress up games. So we're one of the first, or probably the only company in the world that has dress up with all kinds of body sizes for the girls that
Oh,
are in. And you should see the response we get from the world. Why do we have to only see little thin, skinny type of models? We are who we are. Thank you for giving us the dress up option. And then we went one step beyond. We added, a skin condition called Glow to our
hmm.
skin palette. So we called it a skin option. Like you can put on Glow as a skin color. And we got a mail from a girl who said, I'm 22 and I never had the courage to leave my house without, making my skin up. And you have liberated me. So
Hmm.
games go way beyond just being making your mind work. They make you feel happy and they make you feel
Hmm.
comfortable with who you are. Can I share another very interesting story which will nail this point? So
Yes.
this game that I'm calling Parking Frenzy is actually the game that started it all. And we had this really surprising, unintended, completely bizarre hit in the US called Parking Frenzy. It was a little tiny game, not so great. It was all about parking cars in difficult places. And all of us were puzzled because, the whole question is who is playing this game? And the biggest surprise was there were tween girls, not even teen girls, tween girls pre 18 who were playing this game in the US, learning how to park cars. And when we saw their tweets, they said, we never could learn how to park cars. There was never any mechanic. Now, this little small little game helps us do that. We can go to our DMV test and get our license. And then the last sentence was, we're showing it to our fathers and boyfriends saying, we don't need you anymore. That was so cool, man. So they just, that you just make people get empowered, which is so phenomenal.
Hmm. Because it's sort of simulates life.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
absolutely.
So
Completely.
great that you have, and you're one of the first movers in this industry in India, and it's matured, and now you're into books. Alok, it is great to catch up with you, and I wish you all the best for the success of your book. Keep
Thank you.
writing,
Yes, thank you.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Thank you so much. And I just say that, for all our listeners and viewers who've not experienced the Audible format, they should. It's a phenomenal platform that just begins to grow on you. I think they're running something very nice right now as a promotion, like a summer promotion, so they could get on that. But I think beyond that, they must try it out because it's fun.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharmila. See ya. Bye.
Cheers.